welcome back to the show. Now let's go straight to Spring Trends. Emmanuel Ojadigal is my name. You can follow us on all our social media handles on our page, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and of course our YouTube channel at Western Spring Television. Let's start with what's been making the news, and let's give you the genesis of the story. Peter Obi has been in the news recently, as narrated by Charity Okunna, Chinyere Okunna. He went to London and was detained at the Heathrow Airport. You'll see that shortly on your screen, that Facebook post by the person that he told he confided in, and she came out to give that story. And she was talking about when he arrived at the airport, he joined the queue. He was stopped and questioned for a long time and handed a detention note and told to wait for further interrogation and investigation. He was told that his identity was duplicated. So those are what she said. In the second slide there, she also talked about how he's been under intimidation and emotional torture. His phone's been bugged, his wife and children's phone been bugged. He's been under surveillance, been put under pressure to leave the country, and he's been wrongly accused of negative things he knows nothing about. Now, people have been asking different questions about that story, why Peter Obi was detained in the UK. So let's look at the reactions. To begin with Dr. Kelechi Ugonna. Dr. Kelechi Ugonna says, "What's Peter Obi's crime? Running for office in Nigeria? A perfectly legitimate venture in a democracy. Cloning his identity in the UK as fingerprints of an operation of state agents or a man very powerful. Thank God he went to the UK now, else how would he have found out?" The next comment comes from Dele Farotimi. Says, "The more I've considered this, the more convinced I am that the UK might have accidentally stumbled on some evil plot. This is allegation against the APC and Bola Ahmed Tinubu and compromised elements within the security services. Who else has the capacity and interest in duplicating Peter Obi's passport?" Professor Ode comes next, says, "What's going on? Identity duplicated by who? Is it Nigerian passport? If so, Nigerian immigration needs to clear the air. And Nigerian immigration what is the deal with Peter Obi's passport?" G. Samito says, "And the man didn't even say a single word until someone else said it. I remember one meeting where he said, if they can be doing this to you as supporters, imagine what I face. Man is going through it. Sending him love." Amanda Oru says, "Just this one man going through a lot in the hands of APC just because he dared to contest for the highest position in the country. This is just too much. Sickening of the APC. How low would they go, for goodness sake?" Well, we don't know who was involved. If it was the APC, I'm sure investigations are ongoing. Ogechi says, "This is why I love the fact that PO carries his bags at the airport. If someone can impersonate him, then they would have tried to put drugs inside his bag too." Inyangeze says, I should imagine that his lawyers are already written to Suella Braverman, the Home Office Secretary, regarding this new development. AGK Nwakwa says, "Those who suggested that Peter Obi should leave the country may have plans to set him up with a duplicate identity. Perhaps they know something about the identity theft." Citizen Dama says, "Those guys drumming up war and mayhem in our country need to understand Peter Obi is one of the elements holding the country in peace and unity today. Desperate evil politicians must be cautioned before they destroy our country. Everything is not politics." Babatunde Badamosi says, "This was the work of a highly experienced and highly skilled identity thief. I know of one." And Michael C. Bennett says, "The real reason Femi Fani-Kayode and co were insisting that Obi should leave Nigeria was because they had planted a fake person abroad with his passport. Since Peter Obi was in Nigeria, they would not have any alibi should their fake agent abroad commit a crime. They needed him abroad. So once the agent commits the crime, it would be easy to trace. It would be traced to him. Unfortunately for them, Peter Obi traveled without notice, and they didn't have enough time to pull out their man from the UK. So the immigration won't see it as double entry. Both IDs clashed and they were exposed. I'm sure they are covering their head in shame now. A grossly incompetent party, they cannot even commit evil with precision. Who knows the whack agent they sent on the mission? That's all on that story. We'll move over to Lagos in Banana Island, Ikoyi, where there was a building collapse a couple of days ago, and there's still reactions coming up from there. The latest development is that 25 people have been rescued, 7 were injured, and the police and the agency in charge says there is no casualty yet. So let's take a look at that video now.
I want to understand what they don't know the story we have for that, and I mean, Jesus! Oh my God! Oh my God! Jesus Christ! Jesus, man! Oh my God! Jesus Christ!
Well, apologies for any strong languages you may have heard in that video there. Let's take a look at the comments now. Pomper Star says, do you know what it means for the most expensive part of Lagos to regularly experience building collapse? Shai says, what are the developers and development control in that city doing? Adesomi says, arrest the developer and throw the keys away. Mr. Morales Big Stepper says, while very unlikely, there is a slim possibility that the folks on top survive solely because they were on top of the building itself. Kerry is next, says, collapse of buildings under construction is becoming a recurring decima in our society. This is so sad. I hope those guys on the top survive. Until we have a functional law to deal with contractors who cut corners, many of these madnesses will persist. Elizabeth Omolara says, a lawless nation with almost no value for human lives, cutting corners just to make a few extra millions. How do these people sleep at night? As usual, it will be swept under the carpet in a few months. Nigeria must be free says, we have research and regulation agencies. We have the Korean NSC, NIOB, NBBRI, RMRDC, SUN, ETC. What are they doing? All have turned to politicians pursuing contracts and leaving the profession to suffer. Tell me their professional inputs, nothing. Ogbon Sodiki says, what's happening in the construction industry? Banana Island that has strict construction guidelines, even after Lagos State government has approved, you still have to meet up with their development guidelines. What has changed? And Kwesi Jr. says, they should jail the contractors, the client, the structural engineer that did the structural drawing for that building, and the government inspectors, and even those that did the soil test sample. Arrest all of them and start quizzing from the structural engineer. And the engineer John Uchenna Eko says, building collapse in Nigeria happens mostly when the client keep interfering with engineering requirement of the structure, leading to the company being compromised. From that, we move over to the Labour Party, where at the National Secretariat of the party, 2 factions of the party clashed while one was trying to take over, the other was trying to retain control. Let's quickly go over there and see that video.
Your own address will create problem. You are not the most senior. I'm the most senior officer here, and I have the right to address you. Madam, keep quiet now. Nobody is even listening to her. Listen to her. Forward ever. Labour Party. Listen. Don't beg anybody. This is our party. Whether we play shout, Labour Party belongs to all of us. Yes. Can I have your attention, please? Now, go ahead. We are listening.
Emma Ike says opposing factions in Labour Party clash at the National Secretariat in Abuja. I remember when PDP was having their issues, Labour Party supporters were busy mocking PDP. Table don't turn now. Aina Dikwa says different factions in Labour Party clash at its National Secretariat in Lagos. In Abuja, I saw someone carrying 2x2 plank. Obedient, please don't plank Lamidi's head. I hope nobody was planked. LUP says it's Gegele. Lovers of Nigeria will never win 5 states for governor and don't they fight each other. I beg, if you win President Unko. Gentle says this man no want to rest. Anyway, Sha, they paid him heavily, but unfortunately you can't be national chairman anymore. Olaiwola says political parties are all the same. Political parties are all the same. The real Ado says the party that wants to change Nigeria, clowns. Baba Alapa is the party chairman, whether they like it or not. The man's name is Lamidi Apapa. Why are you calling him Baba Alapa? Nigerians and their big mouths. Baba T says, Baba Lamidi, can I have your attention? Voice, no, we are not interested. Emmanuel Grace Nonstop says, but why did the camera only capture the Baba group? Let's at least see the people they were confronting. Ice Cold Mano says, structure of criminality, ancient, unbridled, and pliable version, malleable entities, and Agbadons given to Luca, voice of Esau, but hand of Jacob, charade. Oluwaseun Lunaija says, we know how the game goes, APC at work. Why were the faces of the known Labour Party members not shown? For these unknown people, even one in mask, APC rest, you people have failed. Staged clash. That's all on that story. We move over to Lagos in Isaleko, where after the movie Gangs of Lagos was released, the Isaleko Union has come out to say some things. Even the Lagos state government has officially made a statement about it. But let's look at the letter by the Isaleko Union saying that their attention was drawn to the portrayal of the Eyo masquerade in Gangs of Lagos. Well, in summary, is that these people are not comfortable with the way they were portrayed, with the way the Eyo masquerade were portrayed in Gangs of Lagos. I've not seen the movie. I don't know who. People have seen the movie and they've said that there is a disclaimer at the end of the movie that whatever you watch is just fictitious. Any semblance to anything living or alive is just pure coincidence. And I think that does it. That's enough to allay all fears. I mean, we've seen movies even in the United States where the president of the country is alleged to have sponsored terrorism against his own people. You don't see the Russians suing filmmakers for depicting Russians as nuclear terrorists and all of that. So I don't understand what's going on. But let's look at the comments. Let's look at what people have had to say about that particular story. Aziz Bakari begins the conversation. It says, a son of Lagos, born to a very popular family in Lagos, was ridiculed, ethnically profiled, and told he was not from Lagos because he dared to contest for governor. Not a single statement from his Isaleko Descendants Union or whatever they call themselves. They should go to court. Uncle Maison says, there is more to this, because if not, the people of Isaleko are supposed to be happy and thankful that their culture and heritage is being showcased on the world map, but the reverse is the case here. Detoki Targaryen says there's Kukuma a disclaimer at the end of the movie that all resemblance to persons, places, or ancestors, etc., etc., is gone. Pope says, as much as I like the story, I had concerns about how they portrayed our beautiful Eyo. With how fake news is going mad lately, I hope some miscreants don't put up a show using Eyo to perpetrate evil. All guy says, okay, but why is the letter written in all caps? I'm literally suffering a panic attack just looking at it. I'm not sure that the movie was marketed as a true life story or that it was inspired by real events. Let's calm down a little. Ike Onyesi says, American movies that portray Mexico as one drug cartel heaven unko, movies that portray Italy as one heaven for prostitution unko, movies that portray white garment churches as fetish unko, movies that portray Islam as terrorism heaven unko. Very important questions. Bloom says, all this noise from fiction, Mado. If they now put based on the true story unko, 2023 is the year for court. Go to court. Asha says, was the film depicted to be a true life story or fiction? If the writer said it was patterned after a true life story, then it's a problem. But if it was stated that it's a body of fiction and not related in any way to real life happenings, then no one can hold them. Peaceful Tout says, LOL. This movie was shot 2 years in my area in Isaleko, and I was in attendance to see some of the acts. Now I'm glad it's in cinemas. Yet to see it though, but this letter about how the Eyo Festival was being paraded isn't totally a lie, Sha. XTH says, defamation Bawo. How far pastors and traditionalists have been portrayed in different lights in arts. They should go and sit down. Where were they when GRB was tagged Omo Igbo? Well, that's all on the trends this morning. That's all on the show. Thank you so much for joining us for this week. We hope to see you next week on Morning Spring and every other segment of the show. Do well to stay on the safe side of the law. Have a lovely weekend. I'll see you on Monday. Bye-bye.